pit.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. I'll make this as fast as possible because there's not a great deal to say. Yesterday I talked about a potential accumulation range with a 40% sort of bottom to the top, which is effectively this area here, about 42%. This could be what we're in right now. One large accumulation sideways boring area, which could come back down to 32. There could even be a wick, or maybe even a candle that takes us down to our previous bottom, which is down here about 28 to 29,000, right? All of that is completely plausible. There's nothing to suggest that that can't happen. That would be a 57, almost a 60% range from the bottom to the top. That feels very much like an accumulation style range. Choppy, indecisive, basically blurry. Buying into the zones, really, which is basically what it is. Now that we spoke a little bit about potential black swan events, which again, people send me messages about, well, what would be the price of a black swan? What shall I put? I mean, the thing is, you can't predict a black swan, and you can't really predict a black swan sell-off. It depends on the black swan itself, doesn't it? Really, there can be little ones, there can be baby ones, there can be big mama ones. There could be all kinds of black swans. Could be a multiple of black swans, one after another. Anything could happen. So there's no real price I could give anybody to say, oh, if a black swan happens, this would be the price. Your guess would be as good as mine. The best thing is to allow for a black swan to take place and assess the damage. But yeah, if outside of the black swan events, it does look like we're sideways and down for the best part of this month. I would say we'll have to see the reaction that we get after the Federal Reserve monetary policy and the rate hike has been determined, which is later on this month. And again, that doesn't mean it'll go up, it doesn't mean it'll go down. It's just something that will allow for markets to effectively work around. They just need to know where they stand. Mostly, it's been priced in, which is the vast majority of all charts, when it comes to traditional markets, the lot. So most of that's been priced in. However, we are looking at other problems now, which almost certainly will be considered when changing that rate hike. So there's nothing particularly bullish to say on this one, I would say. There is a potential for us to bounce around 36,600. That is a possibility. We did it before, but remember, these little supports that we've got down here, these just refer to things that have happened recently. They're not massive, big, tangible ones like the ones that we've had in the past, like this big bad boy here, and especially this big bad boy between about 29,000. This is a super support. Basically, it goes back over a year now, and I've had very good reactions from that zone, boing all the way to the top, boing all the way to the top. Now, I'm not saying that this will boing all the way to the top, but I'm saying that the buyers will likely step in at this zone for an obvious reason, obvious reasons. So that is Bitcoin. There's nothing much more to say about it. There's no point in going to any further depth on the small or the long-term time frames. It's all been said. I've put the bullish case, I've put the bearish case, I've put the safest way to play it, which would be accumulate within zones, which is what I've done. 40,600 being the first area, second area 35,000, and then probably the last area for me would be down at 28,000. Outside of a black swan event, these are all buy zones. Black swan event happens, well, you just got to sit back and enjoy the show, really, and work out what your plan is after the black swan has taken place. So that is your Bitcoin. One last thing that we'll leave this on is the Dixie. The Dixie is fast approached on today's open, basically shot all the way up to the top of this resistance zone. So this is a big deal for the Dixie. This has always been one of the major destinations, and actually it's the last one that I've put in here. We've had these resistances in here for a long time, and we've said for ages how the dollar is bullish, basically. We've broken it down on the live streams as to what it really means, which is a little misleading when it comes to working out what this actually means, because we all know that the dollar technically is in inflation mode, historical inflation mode. So how is it going up in value? Well, it just means that all other currencies are in wrecked city, right? And this is something that I've been, why I put the case for the fundamental for Bitcoin to go up on that fundamental pump. We all knew as a result of what's going on in the world that inflation is going to continue to go up. It was bad enough anyway, and now we've got wars kicking off, we've got trade embargoes, we've got all kinds of stuff going on, and God knows what next. So that fundamentals pump for Bitcoin is what it is, and that's why we say, is it the hedge? that everybody talks about, and for that few days it it kind of was. It's a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of event. So now what we're looking at here is the dollar hitting up this major area, which is effectively the peak of its last rally that began down in these depths in Bitcoin's bear market, and then it peaked around here, which again, this is in between. The Bitcoin's bull market began 2019 around April. Just a little before March, April. So around here, and the dollar continued to go up, and it found itself a natural peak at a nice, almost front run, nice round number at 99.5. Right. So we're pretty much at that right now. I would expect, especially with a giant move like this, a small consolidation to take place, but with a chart that looks so bullish, and it is pretty bullish, let's face it. Even on the weekly, it's showing how bullish it really is. Golden cross forming on the weekly, so this does look like it should continue. Weeklies, I should say though, when it comes to golden crosses and death crosses, they're so laggy on a weekly that potentially don't really mean a great deal. But with what's going on in the rest of the world, you can look at technicals to an extent. Fundamentals also need to play as much, if not more, of a role, really, which is why I made the video about Bitcoin potentially being what everybody touts it to be, the hedge against inflation, a pretty volatile one, but a potential hedge against inflation. So yeah, dollars hit this pretty much this level. We can have a little spike above. We're going to correct, I think, around this level, and this is the pre-pandemic level. So we've recovered. The dollar is back, or should I say the Dixie is back to how it was before the pandemic began, which was this craziness over here. So we had a top, we had a double top, and then the boosh, massive madness, complete madness. So if this is what a pandemic does, you can only imagine what other things could cause when we're talking black swan events. There's all kinds of things that could happen, which is why it makes futures trading especially very difficult, because the world is hanging on a thread, and anything it feels like anything's possible at the moment. And especially when it comes to financial markets, they're extremely fragile when it comes to any kind of talk of anything. They overreact. They're the most emotional things you've ever met in your life is these charts, and so expect overreactions regardless of what the news or the event could possibly be. So black swans again circling not just the Dixie but Bitcoin, so things are looking a little, but just a little difficult. Overall though, for spot traders when it comes to Bitcoin, just buy and hold. Thou should be fine, so long as you're not going all in at certain areas. Like I say, incrementally buying in is fine. First area for me, here. This is obviously after selling here, so first area was here. It was around here. Second area was around here. Third area will be down here, and fourth, fifth, sixth, God knows where they'll be. But hopefully there won't be any more. But yeah, it's a spot trader's paradise. When markets go down, thou shall buy the dip, but not every single tiny little piece of a dip. Let's face facts. Doesn't look particularly good. However, the aim of the game is to buy Bitcoin and hope that it works out. But when it comes to altcoins, no. The Bitcoin dominance still being in this indecisive middle zone. And I wouldn't be looking to alternate from a Bitcoin position to an altcoin position, or buy any altcoins at all until we reach 47.5. Again, similar to any chart, support, resistance. We could turn all this nonsense off. It's not really required for this chart. So bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. And given the way that the chart generally looks, is that this will probably break out. But you'll probably get a small alt season as a result of this top forming over here, 47.5%, and then eventually it'll break out. 52 would probably be a decent area to try that again, and again at 57 to 58. So it's a very simple strategy, although it be quite slow. This is the beauty of spot trading: low stress. Just chill. It's not that bad. People, obviously I make videos every day just to try and remain relevant, and I try to put my point across as best as I can. And essentially my point isn't trying to predict anything specific. My point is my trading strategy, mostly, if not completely, with spot, some bot trading I suppose, and a little bit of futures trading, but I don't really talk about those sort of things. When it comes to this kind of sideways meandering kind of will it or won't it break out or down kind of vibe, there really isn't much more to say about it other than buy incrementally into lower areas with each significant horizontal support. And it's as simple as that, and that's the way to do it. You might get lucky and catch the bottom, you might get lucky and catch the bottom, or you might get lucky and catch the bottom, or you may never catch the bottom. It may bounce, this could already be the bottom, and it could be bouncing from here. Again, nobody really knows. It's all a matter of statistics. It's like going to the bookies and placing a bet. There's always a chance that Leeds United are going to win the Premier League. There's always that chance. Would you put your life savings on it? No, the odds aren't going to be in your favour, but it could happen. Why wouldn't it? Nothing in the world is guaranteed. Nothing is an absolute certainty. So when we're trying to spot bottoms, there might be somebody out there that managed to get lucky. We got lucky here. I effectively bought the bottom this time round. What was that based on? Just a simple horizontal. That's all it was. An educated guess that it would bounce from here, and it did. So it made me look like a genius, but really it's just as simple as that. I wasn't absolutely sure, but I was willing to take the risk, and it worked out perfectly fine. Took the risk again here, took the risk again here, and again, I will take the risk again down here. That is that simple. There's nothing more to it than that. Overall, it doesn't look particularly good as a chart, and it does point further down, so I would not be at all surprised if it did break down below this zone over time, but it may not. Recognising that will strengthen your ability to just pluck up the courage and do the right thing. If you want to be in this market, you just got to be in the market. Do you know what I mean? It's okay to sit back and go, nobody really knows. We're all effectively just guessing, using as many or as little indicators as possible. And most of my indicators do point to a sideways and down trajectory over a prolonged period of time with this kind of market environment. But taking yourself out of that a little bit, waiting for more clarification from Federal Reserve monetary policy will help. Other world events, or the other world events, I should say, will also help, depending on how they go. But for the moment, on a technicals basis, sideways and potentially down, to be honest with you, while the Dixie goes sideways and potentially up, and the Bitcoin dominance goes basically sideways and up. So there's lots of opportunity in here, but it does require a lot of patience, sitting back and waiting, and that's the good thing about it. You don't need to go trading every day. In fact, the way it's going right now, you could probably make a trade as little as once a month, to be honest. Right, I'll leave it with you there. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.